Have you ever encountered something that made you doubt everything? Imagine finding a used condom at home and having your worst fears confirmed on tape. The shock, betrayal, and disbelief all came simultaneously, leaving you wondering how long you'd been in the dark. I bent forward, hoping it was just a party balloon, but as I approached, I realized it wasn't. My next idea was that Casey was having sex at our place. She didn't have a stable boyfriend. Was this one of those friends with benefits situations you hear about these days? I grabbed the condom between my thumb and forefinger, lifted it, and peered at it. It was clearly unused, and the contents were still liquid. I'm no condom expert, but this one was most likely filled only a week or two ago. My brain was spinning. I was so astonished that I believe I yelled out loud, "What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?" I needed to sit down on the bed for a moment. This condom could only imply one thing, and the idea of Diana cheating was beyond my mind. We'd been married for 22 years, and she'd never given me a reason to doubt her commitment. She's 43, and men continue to flirt with her. The only small wrinkles on her face are laugh lines. She is concerned that they will age her, but I assure her that they will simply enhance her natural attractiveness. She grinned and kissed me when I said that. Her figure is as toned as it was when we married. Diana worked out 3 days a week before beginning this endeavor. Last spring, we spent 2 weeks in the Bahamas. Diana turned heads in her little bikini and even treated me to a topless day on the beach. That night, we made love like newlyweds and skipped meals. So why am I sitting on our daughter's bed holding a used condom? I wiped the cobwebs from my head and entered the kitchen to get a plastic bag. I placed the condom in the bag, then wrapped it in an envelope and hid it in the bottom of the garage freezer. It was the only thing I could think of. Keep the proof just in case. I did not want to think about the repercussions. Divorce? Can I forgive Diana? What if she rejects forgiveness? What if she is in love with this guy? I was really out of my element. This appeared out of nowhere. I walked upstairs to finish tidying Casey's bedroom and making the bed. I did not take any more action. I called my brother to see if he had time to meet me for lunch. Dave worked in the city and seemed pleased to hear from me. I told Dave I thought this would go nowhere and that it was just between us. He appeared to comprehend. I informed him what I had discovered. He sat there staring at me. "I can't believe this. It's not Diana. She loves you, man." I thought the same thing. But how else can you explain what I discovered? There are only 2 of us living in the house. The Johnsons were the only guests we had this fall, and they remained in the guest room. I do not believe they would go into Casey's room for a quickie. What are you going to do? I think I will confront Diana face to face when she gets home tonight. I can't imagine pretending like nothing happened. You shouldn't confront her without evidence. Why not? I'll tell you why. 2 months ago, I came home from work early. When I walked in, I could smell it. I thought I heard the back door close, but it was Janet sneaking out. I went to the kitchen, but then she called me from upstairs. I went up and saw Janet in her robe. I was furious and asked her what was happening and if I'd caught her in the act. She got distraught and started yelling at me, saying I couldn't accuse her, check her closet, phone, and bedroom for traces of sex. On several occasions, I suddenly returned home for lunch. I paid greater attention to Janet's appearance, any changes in her demeanor, and any changes in our sex life. Where on earth did you get this checklist? I found it online. It's incredible what's available. The waitress leaned in to take our order, bring us lunch, and later, the check, and I noticed my friend checking his phone. He tried to deny it, but it was too late. I ended the lunch. I recalled an evening last month when Diana spent an hour soaking in the tub, and when she called me into the bedroom, she was in a silk robe I'd never seen before. She melted into my arms, undressing and urging me to shower and shave quickly. After a quick shower, I returned to the bedroom, where candles were lit, and she lay on the bed waiting. We shared a passionate moment, and as I undressed her, I noticed she had shaved herself completely bare, a first. After lunch with my brother, I hadn't considered that she might be shaving for someone other than me. When I got home, I decided to search for any more clues. I went through her wardrobe, rummaging through boxes and bags, finding nothing unusual except a new bikini with the tag still on it. I checked her drawers but found no new lingerie, nightgowns, or clothing I hadn't seen before, and no hidden stash of condoms. Suddenly she arrived there when I saw her. I hugged and kissed her again, saying, "Oh, darling, I missed you so much these past few months." I tasted wine on her lips as she told me she'd taken her team out for drinks after submitting her report. "Does this imply you won't have to work for the following 2 weeks?" "I'm hoping I won't have to work, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few questions arise. I won't have to leave if I'm lucky, but I pledge to keep it to a minimum. I'm looking forward to spending time with you and Casey." She explained that she'd spoken with Casey, whose flight was scheduled to arrive at 11 a.m. We'd pick her up and have dinner with her the following evening. Diana and I had a lovely evening. We drank wine, nearly finished the second bottle, ate salad, drank 2 brandies, and talked the entire time. We talked until almost 1 a.m., by which time Diana was tipsy and yawning. "Let's go to bed," she said, promptly falling asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. I couldn't sleep right away, so I reached for her phone, which I'd never done before, but it was locked. It took me a while to fall asleep, haunted by the waitress's words from lunch. In the morning, I smelled coffee brewing and walked into the kitchen. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Diana said, apologizing for her tiredness and promising to make it up to me. Later, I took up her phone from the kitchen table. "Diana, I need to call Sandra's husband about that fly rod he put up for sale. Can I get her number from your contact list?" I pressed the button, only to discover that the phone was locked. "Diana, the phone is locked. When did you start to lock it?" "Oh, it's the same code as our garage door, 42. I began locking it after returning to my desk one day and noticing Kevin staring at my phone. He almost got fired." She stated it was an HR problem and assured me there was nothing personal to be concerned about. After entering the code, I quickly jotted down Sandra's phone number, still trying to hide my curiosity. "I'd fire him if I were you," I said, to which Diana replied that she hoped he'd take a second chance because his wife had just had a baby. As we talked, I scrolled through her photo gallery, finding only pictures of flowers and family. I even joked about what might have made Kevin so curious, and she laughed, assuring me, "No nude photos of any lovers in here." We had a wonderful family vacation with Casey for the next 2 weeks, skiing in the mountains. The time together was refreshing, but my mind still held on to questions I couldn't shake. We spent 3 days snowshoeing in Meadow Valley in a rented cabin just meters from the Trick River. Diana answered a few work calls and only had to spend 1 day in the office. The mystery of the hidden bikini was revealed when I opened my Christmas present. Over the holidays, Diana lavished me with love and affection, and we threw a party, inviting many neighbors, including my brother Dave and his wife Janet and about 12 couples. Though I didn't get along with Ed Parker and his wife Sylvia, Diana invited him and his wife Sylvia. Ed had always been a bit of a show-off and a flirt, the kind of guy you'd want to keep away from your wife. Ed had too much to drink during the party and began bragging outside with Hank Johnson. Diana stood nearby. I couldn't see Diana with Ed. She knew how much I disliked him and thought he was obnoxious, but I couldn't shake the mystery of the condom. Dave suggested that he'd want to know for sure if it were him. His comment left me thinking, could I get DNA from both Diana and Ed to compare with what was on the condom? It seemed far-fetched, so I decided on a more straightforward route. I'd be out of town for 4 days the following week, giving them plenty of time, if anything. The clerk at the spy shop was accommodating as I bought over $1,000 worth of surveillance gear. I set up a tiny motion-sensitive camera in Casey's room, blending it in with her knickknacks, and a new radio clock with a hidden camera in the guest room. I opted for a voice-activated recorder under the nightstand for our bedroom because any new items would be noticeable. That week was one of the longest of my life. I talked to Diana every evening. If anything was amiss, she was hiding it well. When I returned home on Friday, she met me at the airport, and we spent the weekend catching up. Then, unexpectedly, she told me she had to fly to Phoenix on Tuesday for the final signing of a purchase contract. The lawyers didn't finish the paperwork until Wednesday, and the board arranged the trip, she explained. I'll be back Wednesday, Nee. I just hoped this would be the last major project of the year. You've done great, honey. I loved this woman so much that all weekend I hoped and prayed that nothing would come from all those recordings. On Tuesday morning, after Diana left for her 6 a.m. flight, I poured myself a cup of coffee. I settled into the office to review the camera and voice recordings. I began with Casey's room, which seemed the most likely place. When I reviewed the footage, the timestamp read Wednesday at noon, and 2 people had entered and started undressing each other. I was stunned, realizing the impact this would have on at least 1 marriage, possibly 2, and I knew I'd have to share this with Sylvia. After Ed and the woman finished, I fast-forwarded through the scene. Still, curiosity got the best of me, and I listened to parts of their conversation. They discussed their affair, expressing frustrations with Dave, and I went to my lawyer's office. We met with a family specialist the next day after he'd recovered from his shock, and I asked him to come over after dinner. He was devastated when I showed him the video, and we ended up drinking more than we should have. Dave filed for divorce, and his 14-year-old twins chose to stay with him. According to rumors, Janet later tried to persuade Ed to move in with her. Still, he refused because he didn't want to be involved with someone who had cheated on her husband. Sylvia also divorced Ed, using the video as evidence, and she stayed in the house. At the same time, he moved out, which was a good thing because Dave was furious. Diana and I did everything possible to help Dave through the first challenging year. Diana was incredibly close to their 2 children, her godchildren, and even Casey turned to her for assistance. After graduating in May, Casey spent the summer with us before relocating to Portland in September. Reflecting on everything, I realized I must include a few recordings. When I examined the final video and the recorder in our bedroom, I found nothing alarming, only Diana's phone conversations. Diana spoke with her mom, Casey, and her boss during my business trip. I won't go into details, but I can tell you that this woman loves me, and I have nothing to worry about. I never told Diana about my suspicions. Some things are better left alone. Of course, now she knew about the camera in Casey's room. I made up an explanation and told her that I suspected Janet had used a key from our house to get into my house. I just needed to prove Diana and I were relaxing with a nightcap after dinner when she looked up from her book and asked, "Do you think I'm cheating on you?" I was taken aback, but I responded, "Babe, please come over to the couch. Let me tell you a story." I emphasized that despite the peculiar facts and circumstances, I never actually felt she could betray our marriage. She wasn't that kind of woman, despite the proof. Diana stared at me, trying to comprehend, and hugged me around the neck, saying, "Alec, love, I could never do that to us." I love you. That was the end. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Don't hesitate to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you get all the updates. We've got a lot more exciting content coming up, so stay tuned. And as always, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.